in television, and really it's just kind of all media, right? It's really become more about advanced currencies. So it's about being able to not just identify a age and sex demography, but a specific consumer target and how that target is, or how that consumer is consuming that media across all platforms. So for example, if you look out there today now, especially in this upfront, you've got Viacom, you've got NBC, you've got Turner, you've got Fox, you've got A&E, Discovery, all of these organizations now providing during the upfronts, the advertiser the ability to start to do guarantees based on these consumer targets. Now, what is needed today in order to be able to do that is really to have the scale, which means a census-like or census approach informed with panels. The reason you need that is because you got to be able to measure networks deep, right? So not just 90 or 100, but hundreds of networks, because that's necessary for programmatic television. Two, you need it so that you can find these very specific targets and understand their consumption of that both television and on-demand, addressable, and digital. And three, to be able to match that information across all the platforms so you have enough overlap between linear television viewing and video on demand and DVR and digital to be able to understand the overlap so you can look at unduplicated reach. So we've moved to a world today where it isn't just about being able to look at these things in silo, but understanding how they work together and how they deliver results to the advertiser. From a video on demand standpoint, we currently track and collect every single video on demand transaction from every MVPD. So every single one of them, or virtually every single one of them. So we have that information asset. Really what we've done over the last few years is start to be able to create systems that help both the MVPDs and the networks start to get ready for dynamic ad insertion, and to be able to really scale that as an additional way for advertisers to be able to effectively target their consumers. But once again, what it comes down to, it's about how all these pieces work together. So how does video on demand work with linear, and how do I optimize across both those channels to make sure I'm spending my dollars properly?
And finally, in the TV world, we hear a lot about addressable, and that's kind of blowing up in a way in the United States as more MVPs enable addressable delivery. What are your thoughts about addressable and keeping track of, either for planning or for performance, around what happens in the box? Right.
Well, I mean, it's a very interesting question, because we're in a great position at comScore to be able to help the MVPDs with addressable advertising. So we do a tremendous amount of work today with post-campaign verification, similar to in digital where they look at viewability. We validate that the advertising was actually delivered to that household and provide that reporting back. But what's the even bigger opportunity, both from a planning standpoint and from a measurement standpoint, is attribution. So it's being able to understand, here's the specific target that I was trying to reach, right? Yes, those ads were delivered, and that's the role that comScore plays today. But after exposure to those addressable ads, what kind of sales lift or increase in foot traffic did I get from that campaign? That's where addressable becomes very interesting, because you're actually able to measure that return on investment. And with advertisers, that can mean a lot, because now they can start to justify the business model for addressable, which in many cases, if you compare it to traditional linear CPMs, it's very high. But if the return is there, it makes sense.